Hey guys, it's JP back for another ship tour, and this time we're going to be reviewing the Carnival Splendor. We took this cruise from Sydney along the Great Barrier Reef for a 10-day cruise, and wanted to give you some thoughts, give you some ideas, maybe see if this cruise is right for you. So hang out with us and let's go. This is the check-in. It was relatively smooth. They told us to be there around 2 o'clock, and once we got there, there was basically nobody left. So we were basically the last people to board. You can see it's relatively empty here. Passing through this port, it was only up until security where the line got pretty thick, and so this was the part of the cruise where we started waiting. But generally pretty smooth, no issues, everything went pretty well. Speaking of the Splendor, it carries about 3,000 passengers, and you can certainly feel it. The cruise was pretty full at the time of this video, but generally pretty good in terms of the check-in process. This is a view of the main atrium as you enter, and this ship actually went under a major refurb in the 20s, I believe. And you can see how gaudy the decor is. It's quite different from any cruise that I've experienced. I don't know if this is your taste, but it kind of gives me Liberace vibes. So if that's your thing, please be my guest. This is a view of the interior stateroom. Generally pretty ample. Nothing worth mentioning, honestly. It was your basic standard cruise interior room. We subsequently went to the guest services, and you can see this line here, and we eventually got upgraded here to the window room, and it's larger than the interior stateroom, obviously, so we ended up spending our time there, which was great. You can see here a couple of the areas we're talking about. This is the main dining area. They have a gold pearl and a black pearl dining room, and this is what it is when it's empty. And I'll comment on the meals that were served here. The meals generally were pretty good. However, I will tell you that they are consistent with some of the cuisine you might get from the buffet. So I wouldn't necessarily suggest doing a sit down if that's not your thing. If you're more of a buffet style guy, go for the buffet. You're not missing much. Next here, we made our way over to the main atrium again. And you can see this is one of those crazy decor things. I'm not a fan, but you know, it's me. This is the Lido deck, and here you get the main pool. A lot of kids enjoying this area. You also got the guys' burger joint here. They got great burgers on Carnival cruises. That's one thing I will definitely give them kudos for, is that their burgers are awesome compared to other cruises. The Norwegian cruise that we just did does not compare in terms of burgers. But this is what it looks like when there are a ton of people on the Lido deck. You can't get crowded navigating through this. And it's unfortunately one of the only areas that you can really pass through the ship. This is the buffet area, and this is what it looks like when there isn't anyone here. And it looks generally pretty open and lots of space, but once people go there for the rush hour, for lunch, dinner, breakfast, it gets really crowded, which was really not cool. You'd have a hard time finding seats, and so I'm giving you kind of just the open view of it, and for comparison, I will show you how it is during these rush hour times. And honestly, the video I have here isn't really representative of how crowded it actually got. This is the real video in terms of how crowded it can get. This is not even that crowded, honestly. This was kind of the tail end of the lunch service. And you can see that it is a bit more crowded and congested than maybe you'd prefer. And I will also comment that the food that was served was generally decent. The one low point I will say is that the desserts were, in my opinion, kind of lacking. The options were limited, and the cookies were sometimes a bit stale. This is the gym area, and the gym was pretty nice. Lots of machines, free weights were available, but for the amount of people on the ship, there were times where it felt again very crowded. The stretching area was sometimes used for classes, and when that was happening, some of the guests would take it upon themselves to stretch in the weight area, which was also problematic. This is the Promenade Deck. You can see some views there, and this is the area where they had most of the shops. They still have a photo gallery on Carnival cruise ships. Why, I don't know. Maybe people still buy those photos, but I don't know who still does that, quite honestly. As you walk past that photo area, this is the entrance point to the Black Pearl dining room on the left, and you can see here also that there is a little club here for the kids where they spend some time. We had a lot of pubs on this cruise. This is the Red Frog pub, which was pretty nice. They'd have live music playing every day. They also had some games available like foosball and shuffleboard there. Here they have shops. If you haven't already, please like the video. It does help out with the channel. Thanks a lot. But like I was saying, this is the shops deck. Lots of shops. That's the one thing about this ship compared to the other ship that we were just on. There are lots of places here to roam. Lots of places to sit down and get a drink. This is the casino. Lots of slot machines, lots of games, and there was no smoking allowed in the casino, which was nice since we didn't have to deal with any of the smoke smell in this main part of the ship. The casino was in midship. Like I said, they have a lot of sit-down bars in the area, multiple areas of entertainment, which was nice. They also had some for pay coffee shops. On the left, there's lots of lounging areas. They did provide a lot of board games for families, so you can get your Scrabble on if you'd like. And here we're making our way into the arcade. My son is a fan of these arcades, and so we did spend a few minutes at this arcade here. But again, pretty nice. You can spend a good hour or two there. This is one of their lounges. You can rent out some of these rooms for your family if you have a large number of guests, which is nice. Another bar on the left here, and making our way towards the back of the ship. Another available area for private parties. This is the Morocco Lounge. This is the second major area where they have a lot of entertainment available. This is where most comedians would perform. And next to the main Morocco Lounge, they did have a separate lounge for smaller crowds for more comedians. This is the production lounge where they have most of the production shows. The production shows were pretty decent. Lots of variety when it comes to the shows. They did provide some 80s stuff, some 90s stuff, some epic rock stuff, and they also had some acrobatic shows that were performed, which was pretty nice. So we did spend a lot of time just watching the entertainment here. Back of the deck here, you have the Serenity Lounge where it's the adults only pool, and this area was generally pretty crowded with adults. There is a small smoking section back of the ship here, so you do occasionally get a whiff of smoke back here, which, you know, if you're a non-smoker like me, you might not appreciate. It can get a little crowded. You can see here I don't know if it's just a matter of these lounge chairs being too close, but the gangway areas where you can walk in the paths were kind of crowded. This is also back here a deli. Sandwiches were decent here, and you could get a view here of the entire back deck. Making our way midship here, you can see here the water slide area, and in this area we did spend a little bit of time. The water slides were kind of fun, so something that we do appreciate. And you can also see here a lot of people taking advantage of all of these beautiful views around the ship. Midship here you do have a splash zone for toddlers. Really didn't get a lot of use. In addition, the top floor here by the exhaust system, you do get this walking track next to the basketball court. And I wish that this track was maybe a little bit bigger, and the fact that it's on the top deck, you would get a lot of wind gusts up here that would work against you, kind of just making your way around this track. So on other ships, they do place this deck lower in the ship, which may help somewhat with those wind gusts, but on Carnival cruises, they're pretty much standard in terms of where they're located this. In addition, sometimes the exhaust from the exhaust system can be also an issue when you do get these downdrafts with wind. But overall, it didn't really prohibit us or stop us from making our way around that track. We also have here some of the games that they have. They have a mini putt-putt area here. Overall, my impressions of the ship were that it was a fun ship. You know, that's what Carnival is branded as, is the fun ship. But it's obvious to us that they're catering to a very specific crowd, and that crowd is a younger crowd with maybe larger families. And so if that's your thing, it might be a good cruise for you. If you prefer less crowded ships, if you prefer ships that are more destination driven rather than ship driven, then maybe this isn't the right ship for you. But overall, we did still enjoy our time here with the Carnival cruises. We left Sydney. Carnival has 4 ships now that circulate throughout Australia, and this was just one of them. And the Australian crowd is, I think, a little bit more even-tempered than the American crowd, so maybe that's why Carnival is making an effort to push their ships up into this area. But I don't blame them. Australians are pretty cool. So that said, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll be sending out another video here on the cruise itself, so stay tuned. Thanks.